PCOS is one of the most misunderstood hormonal conditions women face, and it often begins long before a diagnosis. Many women are told it's just irregular periods, or just acne, or just weight gain. But PCOS is not simply about cysts on the ovaries. It's a whole-body hormonal and metabolic imbalance that affects insulin, androgens, ovulation, inflammation, mood, digestion, and long-term health. What makes PCOS confusing is that symptoms look different for every woman. Some struggle with acne and hair changes, others with cravings and fatigue, some with irregular cycles, and some have no obvious symptoms at all. But underneath these differences, the same hormonal patterns are at work. In this video, we'll break down what's really happening inside the body with PCOS, the hormones involved, how they interact, why symptoms develop, and what young women can do to regain balance. When you understand the true drivers of PCOS, the condition becomes far less overwhelming and far more manageable. Insulin resistance, the hidden hormone driving most PCOS symptoms. If you've ever wondered why PCOS causes cravings, fatigue, weight changes, acne, or irregular periods, the answer usually starts with insulin, not your ovaries. Insulin resistance is the silent engine behind most PCOS symptoms, even in women who are thin, active, or eating well. That's why PCOS is not just a reproductive condition, it's a metabolic one. Insulin is the hormone that moves glucose sugar from your bloodstream into your cells for energy. When your cells stop responding well to insulin, your body compensates by producing more of it. And high insulin has powerful effects on your ovaries, your skin, your appetite, your weight, and your hormones. How insulin resistance develops in PCOS. Insulin resistance can appear years before a PCOS diagnosis, and many women have no idea it's happening. Several factors contribute. 1. Genetic sensitivity, PCOS, often runs in families, especially where diabetes or prediabetes are common. 2. Stress, high cortisol, makes cells less responsive to insulin. 3. Poor sleep, even one bad night, can spike insulin. 4. Irregular eating patterns, skipping meals, or overeating carbs causes glucose swings. 5. Inflammation or gut imbalance disrupts how insulin works in the body. Over time, the body produces more and more insulin, and high insulin begins to disrupt almost every hormone involved in PCOS. How high insulin affects your ovaries. This is the part most women never hear about. High insulin stimulates the ovaries to produce more androgens, male hormones like testosterone. More androgens, chin/jawline acne, excess facial or body hair, scalp hair thinning, oily skin, irregular cycles. Insulin doesn't just control blood sugar, it directly affects ovulation and cycle timing. When insulin rises, ovulation is suppressed. Without regular ovulation, progesterone drops, and PCOS symptoms intensify. Early signs of insulin resistance. Young women often miss. Many women notice symptoms long before they're linked to PCOS. Feeling hungry soon after eating. Needing carbs or sugar to feel normal. Afternoon energy crashes. Craving sweets during stress. Belly fat even with a normal diet. Strong PMS or mood swings. Feeling shaky or irritable when meals are delayed. Difficulty losing weight despite effort. These aren't personality traits or lack of willpower, they're biochemical signals. How insulin resistance causes irregular cycles. When insulin is high, your ovaries make more testosterone. Ovulation becomes infrequent. Progesterone stays low. Your cycle becomes unpredictable. This is why many women with PCOS go months without a period, not because of cysts, but because ovulation isn't happening regularly. How to support healthy insulin levels. Doctor-approved habits. 1. Eat balanced meals with protein plus fiber plus healthy fats. This stabilizes blood sugar and reduces cravings. 2. Stop skipping meals. Long gaps cause insulin spikes for women with PCOS. 3. Add a 10-minute walk after meals. This is scientifically proven to lower insulin quickly. 4. Reduce sugary drinks and snacks. They cause the biggest insulin surges. 5. Prioritize sleep. Poor sleep increases insulin resistance by up to 30% the next day. 6. Manage nighttime stress. Cortisol and insulin work together, calming evenings reduce both. Insulin resistance is the root hormonal driver for most women with PCOS. It influences weight, cravings, skin, cycles, ovulation, and androgen levels. When you understand insulin and support it through steady habits, PCOS becomes far easier to manage, and symptoms that once felt overwhelming finally begin to shift. Androgens. Why testosterone becomes too high in PCOS. If you're dealing with chin acne, stubborn jawline breakouts, unexpected facial hair, or thinning hair on your scalp, these are not random skin or hair problems. They are classic signs of high androgens, one of the most defining features of PCOS. Androgens are not male hormones. Women need them too. But in PCOS, they rise higher than normal, and the effects show up everywhere. What most women don't know is why androgen levels rise. It's not your fault, and it's not because your body is broken. It's because insulin, stress, and ovulation problems create the perfect storm for testosterone to increase. How androgens rise in PCOS. 1. High insulin stimulates the ovaries. This is the biggest reason. When insulin is high, it signals your ovaries to produce more testosterone. More insulin, more androgens, more PCOS symptoms. This is why insulin resistance and androgen symptoms often show up together. 2. The adrenals produce extra androgens under stress. The adrenal glands respond to stress by releasing DHEAS, another androgen. Chronic stress equals elevated DHEAS equals acne, hair changes, and irregular cycles. This is why many women notice their PCOS symptoms worsen during stressful periods. 3. Irregular ovulation keeps progesterone low. Progesterone balances androgens. When ovulation doesn't happen consistently, progesterone remains low, giving androgens more influence in the body. This imbalance is what leads to symptoms that feel out of control. What high androgens feel like. You may not see all symptoms, but even 1 or 2 are meaningful signals: chin or jawline acne, oily skin, cystic breakouts around the mouth, excess facial or body hair, hirsutism, thinning hair on the scalp, irregular or missing periods, strong cravings, mood swings or irritability, weight gain around the belly. These symptoms often appear years before a PCOS diagnosis. Why high androgens disrupt your cycle. Ovulation requires a delicate hormonal balance. When androgens rise, follicles don't mature properly. Ovulation becomes irregular, cycles stretch longer, progesterone drops, PMS becomes stronger. This is the real reason many women with PCOS go months without a period, not because of cysts, but because high androgens interfere with ovulation. How stress makes androgens worse. Stress raises cortisol, and cortisol signals the adrenal glands to release more DHEAS. High DHEAS amplifies acne, irritability, hair changes, fatigue, cycle irregularity. This is why managing stress is not optional for PCOS, it's hormonal treatment. How to support healthy androgen levels. 1. Stabilize insulin first. Nothing lowers androgens faster than steady blood sugar. Protein plus fiber plus healthy fat at meals is key. 2. Reduce chronic stress. Even 5 minutes of breathing or walking calms DHEAS. 3. Support regular ovulation. Balanced nutrition, enough calories, and gentle movement help normalize ovulation over time. 4. Limit high sugar foods and liquid calories. These cause insulin spikes that immediately raise androgens. 5. Add anti-inflammatory foods. Berries, leafy greens, turmeric, and omega-3s help reduce androgen-driven inflammation. 6. Avoid harsh dieting or overtraining. Both increase cortisol and worsen androgen symptoms. High androgens are not the cause of PCOS. They are a result of deeper hormonal and metabolic imbalances. When you address insulin, stress, and ovulation support, androgen symptoms begin to fade. Clearer skin, calmer mood, regular cycles, and better hair health all become possible once you understand what's truly driving your symptoms. Ovulation problems. When your cycle becomes irregular or disappears. If your cycle is unpredictable, coming early 1 month, late the next, or disappearing for weeks at a time, that's not random. In PCOS, the root problem is not cysts, it's irregular or missing ovulation. Without regular ovulation, your hormones lose their monthly rhythm and symptoms begin to stack up. PMS, acne, weight changes, anxiety, cravings, and long cycles. Ovulation is the central event of your hormonal cycle. When it doesn't happen consistently, everything else, estrogen, progesterone, insulin, androgens, becomes unbalanced. Why ovulation becomes irregular in PCOS. 1. Insulin resistance disrupts follicle development. High insulin makes it harder for follicles to mature. If follicles don't mature, ovulation can't occur. This leads to long cycles, missed periods, spotting, unpredictable PMS, infertility struggles. This is why stabilizing insulin is one of the most effective ways to restore ovulation. 2. High androgens block the ovulation process. Too much testosterone interferes with follicle growth. Follicles get stuck, they don't fully mature or release an egg. On an ultrasound, these appear as the classic PCOS string of pearls. They are not harmful cysts, just immature follicles waiting for hormonal balance. 3. Low progesterone because ovulation isn't happening. Progesterone is produced only after ovulation. No ovulation equals no progesterone. Low progesterone leads to anxiety, irritability, trouble sleeping, spotting, intense PMS, cravings and bloating, heavy or unpredictable periods. This is one of the most overlooked PCOS symptoms. 4. Cortisol stress disrupts the brain-ovary connection. Your brain and ovaries communicate every cycle to trigger ovulation. High stress interrupts this communication, delaying or stopping ovulation. This is why exams, deadlines, emotional stress, and poor sleep make cycles longer or irregular for many women with PCOS. How to know if you're ovulating regularly. Signs you are ovulating. Cervical mucus becomes slippery like egg whites. Temperature rises after ovulation. PMS is moderate, not extreme. Cycles are between 24 to 35 days. Mood feels more stable in the luteal phase. Signs you are not ovulating or ovulating inconsistently. Long cycles, 35 plus days. Cycles that vary by more than 7 to 10 days. Very light or very heavy periods. No clear mid-cycle ovulation signs. persistent acne or hair changes, low mood or anxiety before your period, irregular spotting. You don't need a lab test to notice these patterns. Your cycle is already telling you. Why restoring ovulation is so important. Ovulation is not just about fertility, it's about hormonal health. Regular ovulation supports stable mood, healthy progesterone levels, regular periods, balanced androgens, better sleep, reduced cravings, calmer PMS, stable appetite and energy. When ovulation returns, PCOS symptoms improve dramatically. Habits that support more regular ovulation. 1. Balanced meals with protein plus fiber plus healthy fats. This keeps insulin stable, which is essential for ovulation. 2. Avoid skipping meals. Long fasting spikes cortisol and disrupts ovulation. 3. Gentle movement. Walking, Pilates, strength training. Improves insulin sensitivity without stressing your hormones. 4. Reduce high-intensity workouts. Too much HIIT raises cortisol and makes ovulation harder. 5. Protect your sleep routine. Poor sleep disrupts the brain signals needed for ovulation. 6. Manage stress intentionally. Even 5 minutes of slow breathing or time outdoors helps regulate cortisol. PCOS is fundamentally an ovulation disorder, not a cyst disorder. When ovulation becomes irregular or stops, progesterone drops, androgens rise, cycles stretch out, and symptoms intensify. By supporting insulin balance, stress reduction, sleep, and steady nutrition, many women can restore more regular ovulation, bringing their hormones back into a healthier rhythm and reducing PCOS symptoms across the board. Cortisol and stress, the PCOS hormone saboteur no one talks about. If your PCOS symptoms get worse during stressful times, more acne, more cravings, more irregular cycles, more hair changes, that's not a coincidence. Stress doesn't just make you feel tense. It directly changes your hormones, especially cortisol, in ways that intensify every PCOS symptom. For many women, stress is the invisible force making PCOS harder to manage. PCOS isn't only a reproductive or metabolic condition, it's also a stress-sensitive condition. Women with PCOS have a more reactive nervous system, meaning their cortisol rises faster and stays elevated longer than average. How cortisol disrupts PCOS hormones. 1. Cortisol increases insulin resistance. High cortisol, high blood sugar, more insulin released. Since insulin resistance drives most PCOS symptoms, stress quickly worsens. Cravings, weight gain, belly fat, afternoon crashes, difficulty losing weight. This is why stressful periods of life often trigger or intensify PCOS symptoms. 2. Cortisol raises androgens, testosterone plus DHEAS. Your adrenal glands release androgens whenever cortisol rises. More cortisol equals more DHEAS equals more androgen symptoms, including chin/jawline acne, hair thinning, excess facial or body hair, oily skin, irregular cycles. Stress alone can cause an androgen surge even when insulin is stable. 3. Cortisol disrupts ovulation. Your brain and ovaries communicate through delicate hormonal signals. High cortisol interrupts this communication, making ovulation delayed, weak, or completely absent. Missed ovulation, low progesterone, stronger PMS, mood changes, and irregular periods. 4. Cortisol disrupts sleep patterns. Women with PCOS are more sensitive to nighttime cortisol spikes. High evening cortisol leads to trouble falling asleep, waking at 2 to 4 a.m., waking tired, increased cravings, more insulin resistance the next day. Poor sleep alone can worsen PCOS symptoms within 24 to 48 hours. Why women with PCOS are more sensitive to stress. Research shows that women with PCOS have a heightened cortisol response, slower cortisol recovery, more reactive nervous systems, increased inflammatory markers. This means everyday stress, running late, emotional conflict, rushing through tasks can have a bigger hormonal impact on someone with PCOS than on someone without it. Common stress-related symptoms in PCOS. If your symptoms flare during stressful weeks, you're not imagining it. Look for patterns like acne worsening after emotional stress, strong cravings or emotional eating, irregular periods after exams or deadlines, increased bloating or digestive issues, feeling wired at night and tired in the morning, mood swings or irritability, stalled weight loss. These are all cortisol-driven responses. How to reduce cortisol and calm PCOS symptoms. 1. Prioritize sleep and early bedtimes. PCOS bodies need more recovery. 2. Eat regular meals with protein. Avoiding long gaps reduces cortisol spikes. 3. Replace intense workouts with calming strength training or walking. HIIT is often too stressful for PCOS when done frequently. 4. Add a 5-minute daily relaxation practice. Slow breathing, meditation, stretching, consistency matters more than duration. 5. Reduce emotional multitasking. Focusing on one thing at a time lowers stress hormones. 6. Build a light, calm evening routine. Dim lights, warm shower, and screen-free time reduce nighttime cortisol. Cortisol is one of the most underestimated drivers of PCOS symptoms. High stress worsens insulin resistance, raises androgens, disrupts ovulation, affects your sleep, and intensifies cravings and fatigue. When you focus on calming your nervous system, you're not just relaxing, you're actively treating the hormonal imbalances at the core of PCOS. The gut, inflammation, and PCOS. Why your stomach and skin react too. If you have PCOS and often feel bloated, react to certain foods, struggle with acne, or notice that stress affects your digestion, this is not random. PCOS is deeply connected to the gut hormone inflammation triangle, and for many women, gut issues show up before major hormonal symptoms. Your gut is one of the first systems to signal that your hormones, especially insulin, androgens, estrogen, and cortisol, are out of balance. Inflammation doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your body is responding to stress, blood sugar swings, or hormonal imbalance. And in PCOS, those responses happen faster and more intensely. How the gut influences PCOS hormones. 1. Gut imbalance increases inflammation. Inflammation worsens PCOS. When your gut lining becomes irritated or inflamed from stress, poor sleep, blood sugar swings, or processed foods, your body produces inflammatory chemicals. These chemicals make your cells more resistant to insulin, and insulin resistance is the core driver of PCOS. 2. Poor gut health disrupts estrogen metabolism. A healthy gut breaks down and clears excess estrogen. When gut bacteria are unbalanced, excess estrogen recirculates, causing heavier periods, mood swings, breast tenderness, bloating, acne, water retention. 3. Gut inflammation raises androgens. Inflammation triggers the adrenal glands to produce more DHEAS, an androgen, worsening jawline acne, oily skin, hair growth on the face/body, scalp hair thinning. Why PCOS makes the gut more sensitive. Women with PCOS often notice they feel bloated after meals, react to dairy or gluten, experience constipation or loose stools around their cycle, feel nauseous during stress, get acne flare-ups after eating certain foods. This happens because insulin resistance affects digestion. Cortisol slows or rushes gut motility. Low progesterone increases gut sensitivity. Estrogen fluctuations trigger inflammation. Your gut is mirroring your hormonal environment. Cycle-related gut symptoms in PCOS. Before ovulation, week 2. Estrogen rises, digestion tends to feel best. After ovulation, week 3. Progesterone rises, slower digestion, more bloating. PMS week, week 4. Inflammation increases, gas, cravings, stomach discomfort. These patterns are especially strong in PCOS because hormones fluctuate more dramatically. How gut health affects your skin. The gut and skin communicate constantly. When your gut is inflamed or imbalanced, your skin shows it quickly. This is why women with PCOS often experience jawline acne, redness, inflammation around the mouth, breakouts during stress, acne after eating sugary or processed foods. This isn't a skincare problem, it's an internal hormonal gut imbalance. How to support gut health and reduce inflammation in PCOS. 1. Eat slowly and chew thoroughly. This signals your body to shift into rest and digest mode. 2. Add high-fiber foods. Fiber stabilizes blood sugar and supports healthy gut bacteria. 3. Include fermented foods regularly. Greek yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, miso all support gut balance. 4. Focus on anti-inflammatory meals. Leafy greens, berries, turmeric, salmon, flax seeds, olive oil. 5. Reduce foods that worsen inflammation for you. Common triggers: sugary snacks, fried foods, excess dairy, refined carbs. 6. Manage stress daily. Stress is one of the fastest ways to inflame the gut and worsen PCOS. 7. Maintain consistent sleep. Poor sleep increases inflammation and gut sensitivity within 24 hours. PCOS symptoms don't start in one place, they start everywhere your hormones interact, and the gut is at the center of that interaction. Bloating, acne, cravings, and food sensitivities are early indicators of inflammation and gut imbalance. When you support your gut through steady meals, anti-inflammatory foods, calm evenings, and stress management, you're not just improving digestion, you're actively reducing the hormonal chaos at the core of PCOS. A simple PCOS stability plan. Daily habits to calm your hormones. PCOS becomes far less overwhelming when you stop trying to fix everything and instead focus on a few daily habits that steady your hormones from the inside out. This plan doesn't require perfection, strict dieting, or long workouts. It's built around how PCOS hormones actually behave, especially insulin, cortisol, and androgens. These habits work together to stabilize your cycle, improve skin, reduce cravings, and support regular ovulation. 1. Start your morning by balancing insulin. Your first meal sets your hormonal tone for the entire day. Choose a breakfast with protein plus fiber plus healthy fats to prevent a blood sugar spike that triggers cravings, fatigue, and androgen production. A stable morning equals fewer symptoms later. 2. Use movement as medicine, not punishment. For most women with PCOS, gentle and consistent movement is more effective than intense workouts. Aim for 20 to 30 minutes of walking, 2 to 3 days of strength training, stretching or Pilates for recovery. HIIT is okay occasionally, but too much raises cortisol and worsens symptoms. 3. Eat in a steady rhythm. Skipping meals spikes cortisol and worsens insulin resistance. Try to eat every 3 to 4 hours, focusing on whole foods. This keeps your appetite stable and reduces emotional or carb-driven cravings. 4. Protect your evenings. PCOS bodies are sensitive to nighttime cortisol. Create a calm routine. Dim lights, avoid heavy screens, stretch, or take a warm shower. Better sleep equals better insulin sensitivity, better energy, and calmer cravings the next day. 5. Support gut and inflammation daily. A healthier gut means healthier hormones. Add berries, leafy greens, flaxseed, fermented foods, omega-3 rich meals. These calm inflammation, which directly improves insulin, androgens, and digestion. 6. Track your signs, not just your cycle. Notice patterns in skin, cravings, energy, bloating, sleep. These give early clues about whether insulin, stress, or ovulation is improving. You don't have to control every hormone to feel better with PCOS. You just need a steady routine that lowers insulin, stabilizes cortisol, and supports gentle ovulation. Small choices, repeated daily, create a foundation where your hormones can finally rebalance. Conclusion. PCOS can feel confusing and overwhelming, but once you understand what's really happening with your hormones, insulin, androgens, ovulation, cortisol, and inflammation, the condition becomes far more manageable. These symptoms are not your fault, and they are not signs that your body is broken. They are signals asking for balance, support, and a steadier routine. With consistent habits that stabilize insulin, calm stress, support gut health, and encourage gentle ovulation, your hormones can shift in a healthier direction. Small, sustainable changes truly make a big difference over time. This video is educational only and not medical advice. If you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching.